Welcome to the Mad Love Your Life show. I'm Mary D, the Joy Catalyst, here to be your host and transformation guide. Mad Love is about the mad, making a difference, and love is what we serve up to live a delicious life. My intention is to help you spark new ideas, break limiting beliefs, and align with your deepest dreams and desires. Get ready for laughter, inspiration, and finding your inner roar in every show. Hello, beautiful souls. I hope that you are having a joyful week and that life is bringing you pleasant surprises and delights. It's the first of the month, and if you do a quick check-in, how's it going? Are you where you want to be? Are you ready for this year to get started? Or are you ready for it to end? I entered my miniature weenie dog into a weenie race this weekend, and she did great. She made it all the way to the finals, and I think that's pretty good for an 8-year-old Dachshund. We laughed a lot, enjoyed some good wine, and I've never seen so many weenie dogs all in one place. Also, if you heard my story last week about the rabbit, I'd like to say that we have had no rabbit incidents since, and trying to keep it that way. Today, I want to invoke an invitation to Spirit, to Source, to God, to show up and give you exactly what you need today. May whatever needs to be revealed to you show itself. May you feel loved and inspired. May you feel like you belong, and may compassion fuel your lens in which you see the world and yourself. And may gratitude be deep in your heart. The highest frequency is love, and it's inside all of us. There's nothing special you have to do because you already are. And today I want to talk about how we get I want to talk about why my dogs decided to bark right now. All right, I'm going to take care of them really quick. Hey guys, right here. There's nothing going on. I promise. Thanks for hanging with me. I get to babysit some extra little lovies this week, so they're in studio with me today. So what I was saying is that today I want to talk about how we get back to that space of remembering that we are love. And I use the word remembering because you are a creature of divine intelligence. And as we go through life, we get reminders. We think we're learning, but so much of the time we are unlearning what someone else has imposed on us, or we're getting an aha moment for something our soul already knows. Some of you are like, Mary, that sounds like a whole lot of woo-woo. Well, pull up a seat, darling, because today we are serving up a whole plate of woo. It's what's on the menu. And I also want to remind you that the intersection between science and magic, it exists. For example, who taught you how to breathe? Who taught you how to swallow food? Who taught your heart how to beat or your eyes how to blink? You have a natural way of functioning that is your built-in operating system. And this system helps keep you alive. It knows how to heal, and it knows how to take care of you. So when you get a cut a few days after you see it form a scab, and although you don't actively command your cells to get to fixing things, that's exactly what they're doing in the background while you're still going about life, doing whatever it is that you do. Now, hear me out, y'all, because I want to share one of my most favorite, delectable, delicious passages with you. And today that passage just happens to come from the good book, aka the Bible. It's Psalm 139, verse 14, and it says, I will give thanks to you, O God, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are thy works, and that my soul knows well. So let me read that again, because I like the way it fills my heart, and I'm hoping that it's filling yours too. I will give thanks to you, O God, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and that my soul knows well. What I hear when I read this is that my soul knows that magic put me together, and what it put together is fabulous. So when you think about yourself, do you see yourself this way? Or is there an inner critic that shows up, judging everything, judging everything you wish you could do or would do better, faster, smarter, more efficiently, maybe. I'm just finishing up a book by Kristen Neff called Self-Compassion. And in the book, she explains that self-esteem and self-worth are great, but the number one trait in those who are happiest is actually self-compassion. And this makes a lot of sense. Think about someone or something that you love. It could be your kids or even your fur kids, like my little noisy ones today. Maybe it's a grandma or a grandpa. Let's use the example of a child, right? If your child is struggling to take their first steps, do you yell at them and tell them to hurry it up? Hey, figure it out, little one. No. You watch them try. And while you're watching them fall down over and over again, you're actually encouraging them. You're supporting them. You are their number one fan. You have compassion. You have the ability to sympathize with their situation. And what does your self-talk look like? What is your self-talk to yourself? What happens when you are that child who is just walking through life and maybe there's something you're struggling with, or there's something that you're not able to do perfectly? Are you speaking kindness to yourself? Are you speaking judgment? Are you encouraging? Are you discouraging? Do you look in the mirror and know that you can do it? Or do you look in the mirror and call yourself a loser? Today, I want you to remember that you are wonderfully made. If you have imposter syndrome, instead of saying, "Who am I to do the thing?" I want to remind you, who are you to not do the thing? To rob the world of your gifts that you can share by choosing not to do the thing. I was at a retreat with my friend, we'll call him Chris, and we're doing this exercise where you write your own eulogy. And I know that sounds dark, but as an exercise, it shows you what you want to be remembered for in this life. And in writing his bit, he wrote down that he wanted to impact millions of people to love more. And he said that as he was writing it, he felt a lot of shame because he thought to himself, who am I to have this vision? And as he shared that with me, I replied to him and said, how could you not fulfill that vision? Spirit put that longing in your heart because you're equipped to deliver this message. How dare you rob the world of that gift that only you can bring to life? You were chosen for a reason. You were inspired for a reason. And some of you might say, well, Mary, he's not the only person who can bring love to the world. Look at Mother Teresa and Gandhi. They were great at spreading love. And I would say, yes, you're right. And matter of fact, I think it's all of our jobs to spread some love. However, if you'll notice, it does take more than one, and we can't afford to lose any of them. So whatever your gift is, whatever is rooted deep in your soul's desire, it's there for a reason. There's a spark inside you that's ready to break out into a roaring fire, but you have to feed it. You feed the vision by doing the work, and the work is the fuel that builds up the fire so that it can spread. So I want to encourage you this week, what deep desire have you been suppressing? It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you did in the past. None of that matters. It's never too late to ignite that fire that's been laying dormant inside of you. When we get a tug in our gut or our heart to go and do a thing, that is our divine intelligence at work. It knows what to do. And too often, our human nature that has learned to hide away, the one that was taught not to take up too much space, the one that was taught not to speak up, the one that has allowed fear to whisper in our ear too many times. It's that overthinking that fast talks us out of living our fullest potential. Where in your life have you allowed the opinions of others or the judgments you think you get from others to stop you from doing what you know is seated in your heart to do? Is there a book you need to write? Is there a song you need to sing? Is there a podcast you need to air? How about a feeling you need to share with another person? A self-expression that you're repressing? That happens all of the time. We see it in sex. We see it in sexuality. We see it in how people eat, how they view or judge eating. There's so many ways that we create repression, and that is the number one stunter of expression. The more confidence and less shame we have, the bigger our ability to reach inside and just show up big, show up and really take that space up. So today, if that's you, I want to invite you to ask yourself, why have you allowed the fire inside you to go dim? What or who have influenced you away from your vision? What has you running from it instead of running towards it? And when I share this with you, one of the things that comes to mind is how often when women and men go into a relationship, that as they begin to have a life together or have children together or might even run a business together or even run businesses separately, this is a lot of times where life really starts to sort of take over in a way that might have us set our flame aside. So, what I mean by that is, how many times have you seen a woman come out of a relationship and she goes, wow, I have no life outside of my identity as a mother, or I have no life out of my identity as a wife, or I have no life out of my identity as fill in the blank. And it doesn't just happen to women. Obviously, it happens to men too. So often we get caught in the identity of a thing, the identity that we just ended up in, right? If you were single and out and about and traveled all the time, but then you have children and you're like, oh, I have to stay a little more grounded because maybe there's a great school you want your kids to go to, or a great community that you have, or families nearby, or it's just makes more sense because maybe it's hard to take the kids out. Then perhaps those things shift and change, right? Our identities can change. But what we also can be reminded of is that oftentimes we can also remember how multifaceted we all are. You can be a world traveler and you can be a mom. Those don't have to be independent of each other. They can also happen in the seasons of life. Maybe you're a world traveler and a speaker with a great career, and you decide to take a break and do your duty as a mom. And that feels good for you to be fully a mom, knowing that there's going to be another season. And then there's also those things that happen where parents have their life fully engrossed in their children to where they don't have a life otherwise. Their life is literally soccer practice, basketball practice, track practice, music class, anything that's for the kids. And they never have that time together or that time alone or that time to be together. I'm going to have another prompt for you here in just a moment. But before we do that, we are going to take a little bit of a commercial break. And I just want to remind you that at any point during the live show, you can call in your questions live to 866-451-1451. Again, that's 866-451-1451. Or if you're streaming live from the YouTube channel, you can drop your questions for me down in the chat, and the studio engineers will pass your questions over to me to answer. So we are going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
𝐬𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐞, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐬𝐿, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. 𝐬𝐬𝐿 has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. All right, so the question I'd asked you before the break was, what or who have influenced you away from your vision, and what has you running from it instead of running towards it? And the next question that I want you to ask yourself is, if you consider, can you consider what would you need to change in order for you to embrace your truth and fully own it, to stop at nothing to see it brought forward? And when you can answer these questions, then you'll be reminded, and I hope you'll fuel your vision, because the world needs more of you and that magic that only you can bring. And I know that you may be tired and weary from life. I realize that sometimes we are so focused on one thing that it can be easy to let everything else fall away. In the example I gave you before, how we get wrapped up in life. And it could be in family life, it could be in work life, it could be in achievement, only to realize that there's all these other things and beautiful spaces that we just forgot to keep exploring, or if we forgot to do. One of the things that I love to do is I love to sing. And in another life, I would have pursued music, and that would have been the life that I chose. But I didn't. And so I don't beat myself up and say, oh, maybe music is the thing I should have gone into. I love music for the sheer joy of knowing a song, singing it out loud, knowing the feeling that a song evokes. And I can still do that in my life. I can do it by going to karaoke. I can do it by having friends over for karaoke, or at my house, we call it marioke. I can do it by singing in the shower. I can do it by singing in my car. I could be part of a church choir. I could be part of a singing group. There are so many other options than the option of I need to be a music star. And when that happens, it's a way to weave in those things that we love and still enjoy them in our life without them necessarily having to be the main thing. And so, what are those pieces of you that you've left behind that also you're remembering, like, oh, I used to love to do X, and you just stopped? because maybe the schedule got too busy, or you moved to a different place, or something else just replaced it. Tired nights and bedtime stories. So, what are ways that we can also remember that we are multifaceted and that we can have multiple identities, and that at any time we can treat them like a hat? We can put them on and take them off, or we can decide to let them go for a season, or maybe we let them go forever. Too often, though, there are things that we love to do or want to do or have a desire for. And oftentimes, those things are also the big dreams that we could have inside too. So, how do we learn to play again? I think these questions will be really helpful for you in those, if you'll answer those prompts, and it'll help you remember what the spark is. So, remember that when life is overwhelming, this isn't necessarily a reflection of you. It doesn't mean that you are weak or incapable. In fact, it might just be that you need to stop and recharge. Time in the stillness of allowing your inner light is a place where you can allow it to get bright again. So, as I close the show today, if this message resonated with you, then you just might be a great fit for my upcoming MADLOVEology retreat. We do a great job of helping you remember how to take up space, how to be fully expressed, and how to ignite that fire inside you again. You are a powerful being with a purpose, and sometimes you just need some help remembering what it is and how to step up powerfully into that destiny. So for those of you who are ready for guidance and support as you're going through big life transitions, those of you who are ready to get clear on that fire that's burning inside of you, and you want to really look ahead at the life that you want to create, the life you want to go at again, that you want to live this next chapter really differently, then registration is open for my signature program, the MADLOVEology retreat. It's coming up in June and October. And right now I'm doing an early bird discount of $800 off the price, but it expires on Mother's Day, which, by the way, is May 12th. So for those of you that haven't gotten yourselves together, if you are celebrating Mother's Day, May 12th, that's your day. So gift it to yourself or gift it to someone you really love. For more details, you can head over to marydee.com, and that's MARYDEE.com. Also, join us back here next week. I have a riveting interview with 𝐤𝐨𝐫𝐞 Ball. 𝐤𝐨𝐫𝐞 is a real life therapist, and she's got some great advice for you on love, boundaries, and living your best life. So until next time, may abundance always walk beside you. May joy always go before you, and may love always guide you on your path. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. We air live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bold Brave TV. We hope to see you back next week. For more ways to connect with my guests, content, programs, and retreats, just head over to www.marydee.com and subscribe. That's MARYDEE.com.